Have you gotten into lettering, but now you're wondering how to improve your lettering layouts? Maybe you start lettering and the words get squished together and you're just not sure what to do to improve the situation. Well, I'm going to share with you one tip to improve your lettering layouts in this video. Hi, my name is Shelly Hitz. I'm an artist and illustrator, and I love lettering. I love teaching it. I love doing it. I try to letter every day. And lately, I have really been trying to improve my layouts. One way that I'm doing this is through a very simple tip. It's through thumbnail sketches. I resisted this for a long time because I'm a get it done person. I just like to get into my projects, get it done, finish it. But what I'm realizing is that now that I have my letter forms down and I really want to take my lettering to a new level, I need to try something new. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk you step by step through the process. I have no idea what I'm going to do for these pieces, and I'm just going to show you how I do it. Now let's go ahead and just start with this really pretty flower here. This is painted in gouache, and gouache is similar to watercolor. I may go ahead and teach that in another video, but for now, let's go ahead and just focus on lettering this. I love to jump into different lettering challenges. You can follow an account on Instagram that is just named Lettering Challenges and find out what different challenges are going on. There's one this month called Get Motivated June, and there's a prompt that just says faith and determination keep you going. I just wrote it on here so I would know kind of what I'm doing for the video, but I want to write that on here with this flower. And so in the past, typically what I would do is just write it out, and I would just kind of go on the fly. Then the second thing I did to kind of increase my lettering layouts is I started penciling in my design. But if you really want to improve your layouts, like how your words are positioned on the art piece, then I recommend doing thumbnail sketches. One of the things I have is I have this little folded accordion sketchbook. It's tiny. It's just really little. You make it out of one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I teach you how to create this little fold and cut sketchbook in my Skillshare class, 5 easy ways to create no-sew sketchbooks. But I like to use this little sketchbook because it's just small and it doesn't take a lot of paper. I don't feel like I'm wasting paper. I can just sketch it out on here really quick. But for the sake of this class, I'm actually going to use a bigger piece of paper just so you can see it a little better. This is just an index card here, and it's the same size as this piece of paper. But let's go ahead and just see what I might do with the layout. So I'm going to just take a pencil. You can take any pencil that you want and use that to create your thumbnail sketch of your lettering piece. So I already wrote mine out here so I can have it just to remind myself and to remember the spelling. Have you ever done that where you have had the wrong spelling on your lettering piece? I have several times. So the first thing I'm going to think about, it's faith and determination keep you going. You want to think about, is there a word you want to emphasize? So I might emphasize faith and going. So think about which words you want to emphasize, and then once you've determined the words you want to emphasize, those will probably either be bigger or they'll be in a different lettering style. So I teach several different lettering styles in my Skillshare classes, but many times it's really fun to mix a script lettering style with a print lettering style. So that's probably what I'm going to do with this piece. And then I can just start thinking of how I want to lay this out. So with the lettering, a really good reason to do these thumbnail sketches is so that you can add in bounce lettering, you can add in flourishes, and those are a lot harder to do on the fly. So let me see, this is kind of up and down. It's more of a longer piece of paper right here. So I'm going to position my paper up and down so that it kind of resembles that paper. Let me kind of put the F. I'm going to just kind of sketch out my faith. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect. This is actually supposed to be really quick and easy. So faith, and then I can do a little ampersand there. And I didn't do the T because I might do some flourishing with that. So if I look at this Faith, I always have my erasers within reach. I use these kneaded erasers. In my watercolor and ink supplies class, you can learn all about all the supplies and you can learn why I love these. One of the reasons I love these, no shavings, but you can get access to this class for free in my insiders group. You can sign up at shellyhits.com/insiders. So let's look and see where I have opportunities to add a bounce. So bounce lettering is where you go below the baseline. So this A could come down, the I could come down, the T or the H, any of those. I like to kind of alternate sometimes, so I might see what the A and the T look like. And I'm not sure that I like that, so I'm going to erase that a little bit. Let's see what the I and the H look like. So you're just going to really just see what you like the best. And I'm going to come back over to the A and the T. And this is why you want to do the thumbnail sketch, so that you can kind of play with some different options. You can see how I kind of came down a little bit more with the A and the T, and I could match their heights. And this doesn't have to be perfect because you're just sketching it out and you're going to add it in later to your original piece. So that looks pretty good. And then if you want to add any flourishing, you can decide how you want to add that in here. And you can add like an entrance stroke. We can do this crossbar here that goes into the H. And if I wanted, I could take this F and do something down here with it. Like I could come up and around. But I'm not sure that I'm going to do that, but let's go ahead and just add in the word determination. I know it does take a little bit longer to do your pieces, but I think you'll be much happier with the outcome when you take a little bit of time to sketch it out. So I'm going to go ahead and do script for that. And then the last word, I was going to maybe do something with that G with a flourish, but I think I can do something with the last G instead. So I'll just bring that up. And I think I'm going to bring that flourish over just a little bit more. That looks pretty good. Don't forget to dot the I's, right? All right, so in these three words, I want to see if I want to do any bounce lettering. And so you can kind of just come in here, and now that you have your basics, I might do this E a little bit higher, bring the P down a little bit lower. And it's really just however you work best. Your thumbnail sketch can be 2 seconds, like it can be really, really quick, or you can come in here and do a lot more. I'm really focusing on this right now of really trying to improve my layouts, and so I'm taking more time and really going in and adding bounce lettering, adding some flourishes, and so forth. So I don't really like the way this turned out up here. I'm thinking something like that is going to fit better, more lowercase, and this is more my handwriting. And then I can move the keep you up. I could move it up a little bit in here, keep you, and then going. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and stick with that as my sketch for now, and I'm just going to know that I'm going to move that up. Now I'm going to go ahead and sketch it onto my paper. So you can see it's a little bit bigger than what it would need to be on here, so I need to keep that in mind. And I'm just going to start with this Faith. And I can add in the bounce lettering that I already determined on my sketch. I can add in this flourish I already know I want to do. And what happened as I wrote this is the and didn't really fit in here. So maybe what will work better is instead of doing the ampersand to just write out and in that space. And so don't be afraid just to change it on the fly, even on your paper. You can see how this is a process, and sometimes you don't see something and then you're like, oh yeah, that could work. And so I really think that this could work better. And I'm making it kind of wide to fit in that space. So you can see how that and fit below or in between that F and kind of there with the H. Now I can do determination the whole way across, and it should fit better. So let me go back to my urban groove. I'm running out of space. This happens sometimes. You're like, am I going to fit? It just barely fits. And then I'll do the keep you, kind of how I'd already planned to do. Keep you. And then the going is also one of my words that I'm emphasizing. So one of the things that happened there is my spacing kind of got off. The O was too far away from the G. Wanting just a little bit more of a bounce there. All right, so now I'm going to do this flourish. And because of the way I did the going, I moved the flourish out a little bit further, but I think the going needs to be centered better. And it's nice to do this really light. You can see I'm having to really, I was trying to show you on here so I could make it show up. But the lighter you do your pencils, sketches, the easier it's going to be to come off. So I'm going to get this a little bit better lined up. All right, so now I'm gonna look at that flourish that I had done. I'm gonna come out and around. But I didn't come straight down with the G, so I'm gonna do that over. I'm gonna come straight down with the G. All right, but I wanna fill up that space a little bit better. So you can see it can be a process to really get it the way you want it, but that's okay. Like, it takes time. This is what you want to think about is this is illustration. It's not handwriting. I'm still not 100% about that going, but there comes a point that you just have to go with it. All right, so you can see this was what I started with here. Faith and determination keep you going. This is what I actually ended up with. Faith and determination keep you going. Can you see the difference? Can you see the improvement in the layout just from going through it several times and really giving myself time to do it? I am going to redo this flourish because I'm not quite happy with that yet. One thing I have noticed, I have been doing lettering now almost a year. The longer you do it, the easier it is to be hard on yourself and want to have things perfect. Now, if you've taken my class, Embrace the Artist in You, you know art is unique, not perfect. And so it's not going to be perfect. And I want to emphasize that with this as you're watching me trying to improve this and do the flourishing and everything. I want you to know that it's never going to be perfect. And perfection is not possible this side of heaven, but we can do our best. We can really have quality work that we're proud of. And if you haven't taken that class yet, Embrace the Artist in You, that is another free class you get as part of my Insiders group. So you can definitely check that out at shellyhitz.com/insiders. And it's a good reminder to all of us. So now that I have my pencil layout, I can add ink. Now for this small design, I think I'm going to use my Tombow Fudenosuke hard pen. In my brush lettering for beginners class, I talk all about all the different types of pens and what you can use. Now sometimes it's nice to combine two different pens. So what I could do is for the and determination, I could add in the Micron pen. I like the Micron 05. That's the one I typically use the most, but they have all sorts of sizes. And I could do it all with the Tombow Fudenosuke, or I could integrate it in with the Micron. So let me just start with the Fudenosuke. Now sometimes what I'll do with the flourishes is I won't do them in the beginning, then I'll add them in later. So we're doing the thicker downstroke, thinner upstroke. So that's the nice thing with flourishes. You don't have to do it all at once. You can turn your paper, you can stop. And with lettering, it really is important to go slow. So take your time, breathe. As you go, it's easy to hold our breath. But the nice thing is, once you have your pencil sketch, you really know where you're going. And you can really focus on each letter. Now let me just show you what it looks like. Let me add in the Micron. So this is just giving it some interest because it's a smaller size than the Tombow Food Nasuki. And this is good to do with print styles like the ones I have here. The thing I like about both of these pens is they're waterproof, so you can use them with watercolor. And I demonstrate that and show you that in my watercolor and ink supplies class on Skillshare. You also get access to that in my insiders group. All right, so now I'm going to finish this out with the Tombow Food Nasuki again. I do a lot of lettering on watercolor paper, and so certain pens do not work as well on the watercolor paper because the tips will fray. Like the Tombow dual tip brushes, like these, I use this one a lot for shading and such. These tips will fray over time using them on watercolor paper, but the Food Nasuki, I have not experienced them fraying like that, and so that's another reason I like to use these on my watercolor paper. If you want more of a perfect edge look, you can come back in like with a Micron and go back over the edges. So on this flourish is where I'm gonna be coming in from different angles. And you can turn your paper. You can see I'm just coming back in and just kind of doing a little detail work. You know, you can come back and update and go over your words a little bit more if you want to. That's the thing. This is, you want to think of lettering like illustration, not like just you write it and then it's done. You can come back in and smooth the edges. Like this edge is a little bit rough. I could come back, smooth the edge. I think my pen was drying out just a little bit, just because I had the cap off for a while I was doing this video, but you can come back over that. And I kind of like the imperfect look. It just makes it more like hand-drawn and not, you know, it's not computer generated. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to let this dry, and then I can just very carefully, you know, erase off the pencil underneath. I usually test a little area to make sure it's not going to smudge. You can just kind of test and just try really light, make sure it's, I think that's already dried. You know, you can test sometimes if you go too hard trying to erase on after you have used a Food Nasuki, it will dull the color. And so sometimes, you know, I'll go back over it with the pen again just to brighten it back up. But you know, sometimes if you try to erase it too soon, it can smudge, or if you go too hard. So just go gently, gingerly. And there are other ways that you can do this besides the pencil sketch. You can use a light box, which I do have a light box, and I plan on trying to use that a little bit more. I'll create another video another time showing you the process with that. But the pencil is something anyone can do. And so I just wanted to make sure that I covered that and want to make sure that's dry. So I'm going to wait on doing that. But what do you think? That's the finished piece. Faith and determination keep you going. Did you find this helpful? Did you find it helpful to watch me in my process and watch me letter? If so, just let me know in the comments, and I may create additional videos like this for you. If there's any tutorials you're interested in learning, let me know in the comments. And I'd love to have you join my insiders group. If you're not already an insider, you can go to shellyhitz.com/insiders. You get 3 free Skillshare classes that I have created, and you'll get access to live Create with Shelly videos. You'll get access to video archives, to fun art prompts every week, a community of artists, and so much more. So I hope this was helpful for you, and I will see you next time.